The NASCAR Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is presented by WynnBET. WynnBET is now live in Arizona, Colorado, Indiana, Louisiana, Michigan, New Jersey, New York, Tennessee, and Virginia. From boosted same-game parlays to live in-game odds, WynnBET has what you need to win. Sign up today, bet $100 and get $100 at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET. State restrictions apply. We're also brought to you by the College Basketball Experience. March Madness is heating up and you need to subscribe to the College Basketball Experience. It's awesome, baby!
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
It's a fine day to talk about racing things here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. I think I'm still Rod Villagomez. I know he's still Cody Zeeb. That much I do know. But yeah, we are here to talk about racing things on the Las Vegas Motor Speedway. It is the Pennzoil 400 this weekend. Cody, are you ready to go all in on red?
I'm ready to go all in. You gotta check yourself up now when you introduce. Since we had the F1 gambling podcast this week, it was threw you all off your game of just saying NASCAR gambling podcast every time.
I mean, sometimes I wonder where I am anyways. So the fact that these guys even get me knowing that we're on the NASCAR Gambling Podcast is, it's a 50-50 prospect each and every day I crack this mic open. But, hey, buddy, I'm not going to say that you sound a little more sultry than normal, but you sound a little more sultry than normal, my friend. I'm loving this microphone upgrade you got going on.
Yeah, I guess they decided they finally wanted to keep me around, and I got upgraded from my cheap, very cheap headset that I was using. Got a real true podcasting mic. So, yeah, hopefully I don't sound too horrible as I work out the bugs and try not to breathe too hard into the microphone. But maybe my voice sounds a little more manageable for you people out there now.
Welcome to the family, man. Welcome to the family. So, yes, we are now in Las Vegas for the Cup portion of our show. Like I said before, it is the Pennzoil 400. We are going to be talking about the NASCAR Cup Series bets as we've made it to this part of the week. Just a crazy week so far. Trucks, Xfinity. We did throw in a little F1, by the way. If you only listen to the Cup episodes, you've definitely missed out on us announcing that the F1 Gambling Podcast has returned. It's got an episode right now in the feed featuring the Bahrain Grand Prix. And that's happening. Practice starts very shortly, actually, in a few hours from now. Obviously, they're working on different time zones than us over here in the States. But, yeah, lots of stuff to bet on. Make sure you go listen to that maybe before you go to bed. Play some bets before they start practice. And, yeah, have some fun.
Yeah, and this time zone isn't so bad. The race is going to start at 9 o'clock in the morning here in the Central Time Zone. So that's about perfect. Wake up on a Sunday morning and start the day of racing. Jeff Gluck tweeted out today the schedule for Sunday, and boy, I quote tweeted it and said that I guess Jeff has planned my Sunday out for me. You got Bahrain season opener for F1 at 10 o'clock Eastern, and then IndyCar at St. Pete at 12:30 Eastern, and then NASCAR in Las Vegas at 3:49 Eastern for the green flag. It's a full day of racing. Might not even move from the couch all day.
Hey, you're loving the fact that the West Coast is sporting the race this weekend because it just makes it all the better for you. Because for us, it's, good old 12 o'clock. It's almost like watching football in that we get it in the afternoon.
Yeah, exactly. I kind of go in there a little bit later. So, yeah, I feel like the Central Time Zone is a fairly good place. not pushing it as far as the East Coast does sometimes, but sometimes on the West Coast, it's pretty damn early.
Pretty damn early. All right. You know what? It is Thursday as we record this. There's already been so much buzz. I'll tell you right now, I tend to stay away from social media sometimes when I'm trying to, form my own opinion about things. And it was only because I had to pick up my youngest from choir practice that I even touched the Twitter machine today before the show, because it's kind of late as we record this. And I'm starting to see that some of my takes are not as hot as I thought they would be, which is fine by me, because that just means the rest of the betting community is where I'm at, and it sort of confirms my research and everything. So I'm kind of happy with where that was going.
Yeah, that can go both ways. I try to make up my mind on guys before I listen to things, look at things. We have a ton of friends in the industry. I listen to a lot of their shows, and so I'm listening sometimes and I'm like, damn, he stole my point that I was going to make. Or it's like, oh man, they're not, like, I was listening to Derek's All Things Go podcast just a little bit ago this afternoon or this evening, and he's talking about the guy that I'm going to pick to win the race. He's a good guy to fade this week. So I'm like, wait a minute.
Although shout out to Phil on Full Tank with Phil, the podcast out there as well. He said the same thing. He was like, I try not to listen to things before I do what I have to do, but he's like, I couldn't help but listen to your guys' shows and get caught up. And he's like, I try to stay away. It's like, but couldn't really stay away from it. So I'm glad to have made your Thursday better. But yeah, we feel you on that.
Yeah, exactly. It's always fun to hear the different angles people take, and where some people agree with you, or somebody you think you're like, oh, I'm gonna pull this out, nobody else is gonna be on this guy, and then you're like, oh, all these other people are on this guy. I guess I'm not as slick as I thought I was.
Not so fast, my friend. Not so fast. All right, before we start breaking down the race in Las Vegas, Cody, I think you got one fun fact that you actually found.
I do. I got one piece of news I wanted to touch on real quick. Came out this week. Kyle Larson's deal with McLaren/Hendrick in IndyCar is a 2-year deal. So it looks like he will be running the Indy 500 in both 2024 and 2025. So that's going to be pretty exciting. That obviously we knew he was going to be running it next year, but it came out this week that was reported that it is a 2-year deal. So whether there's an option in there, whether it depends on how the first time goes, who knows? But hopefully we'll get to see him do the double back-to-back years.
That would definitely be fun. I can't. We watched Jimmy go into the Indy cars, and obviously you could see he was frustrated. I think the learning curve was a little more than he was hoping for. And it makes me wonder what Kyle Larson's going to feel like in that seat. I'm guessing he's probably going to fit in pretty nicely.
Yeah, well, we've seen a lot of guys do in the past, right? Kurt Busch, most notably. I think he had a 4th or 5th place finish in the Indy 500, then flew to North Carolina, competed in the Coke 600. Guys like Tony Stewart have done it, but Tony was already in the Indy, or I think he won IRL championships. I can't remember. One of the two when they were split, he won some championships with. So that wasn't too much of a stretch. But with Kyle Larson's open wheel background from the dirt side of things, I think that's going to help a lot. And Jimmy, it was a little bit past his prime by the time he went over there. I think had he done that during that 7 championship run, it might have been a totally different story. I think that we are going to catch Kyle Larson in his exact prime, and I think that's going to make a difference. So I am super excited about that. I wish it was this year so we didn't have to wait a whole nother year, but gives us something to look forward to, I guess.
Yep, and it gives. I'm hoping that there's some good parlays. I'm hoping that there's some good cross promotional props out of that, because
when I did see, there is one book that is offering some cross promos with F1 and NASCAR this week. So
you didn't put that in the doc, did you? Because I was so close to putting that in the doc.
I looked at it for sure.
We'll mention it. I wanted to touch on it because it's a really fun looking prop.
Yeah, one of the special odds boost types of things, but having the crossover, it's a good start. Hopefully that will continue, and maybe some other books will pick up on that as well. I noticed that as I was looking through odds this week. I thought that was a pretty cool thing.
Yeah, me too. All right. Well, like I said, we are in Las Vegas. It is the 2023 version of the Pennzoil 400 around the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, or as I put it, on the back road. But make sure if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to go check out Back Road. It's an in-between media production. A lot of fun. Seth, Elliott, and the guys. A lot of fun talking NASCAR with them. But as I said there, 200 spins around this 1.5-mile roulette wheel known as the Las Vegas Motor Speedway for 400-mile race. Again, this is going to be on Sunday morning, just as Cody alluded to, or actually Sunday afternoon for you guys out there. The last winner on this track was Joey Logano. He won the 2022 South Point 400 in October. That was a 3-hour and 4-minute race, average speed of 130 miles an hour. Pole speed on that one was 184. There were 8 cautions for 42 laps. Margin of victory, 0.817 between Joey Logano and Ross Chastain. Obviously, we're going to talk a lot about that. 18 lead changes, 3,361 green flag passes in the race, about 14.9 green flag per lap. The 2022 Pennzoil 400, 3 hours, 29 minutes, 3.5-hour race for this one. 12 cautions for 60 laps. Margin of victory between Alex Bowman and teammate Kyle Larson, a sliver of a 0.178 second win. Average speed in this one, 0.522 miles an hour. Pole speed, 182, set by Christopher Bell. 3,271 green flag passes in this race, which came out to about 15.3 per lap. So much action still to be had on this track. It's insane. 23 lead changes in this 2022 Pennzoil 400. That's a pretty active race.
Yeah, well, and we saw last week how good the racing can be on these intermediate surfaces, the worn out surfaces, right? Vegas not quite as worn out as Auto Club was, but and it's a bit smaller, it's a 1.5 mile instead of 2, but again, as we've talked about all week, very comparable tracks. I think we're going to see very similar racing. This next gen car has proven that on these intermediate type of tracks, we've had some of the best racing. The short tracks have kind of been where it needs to catch up a little. I think we saw it get better towards the end of the season, so we'll see as things continue to go into the season, but intermediates have been amazing racing. I think that keeps up this week. And lately, we've not really seen just one guy dominate. Yeah, Chastain swept both stages last week, but it wasn't like he was just leading all day and running away with it. There was constantly different people up in the mix, different people with the fastest cars that had chances to win. And throughout the race, there was many, many different people that you could have made a case were the best at that point. They were going to win, and it kept changing and shifting. And I think that a lot of that's going to translate this week as well here in Las Vegas.
Yeah, and there's going to be a lot of names that we're going to talk about that we really didn't. I mean, we talked about them obviously in the last couple of weeks, but we're going to hit them hot and heavy because there's no, I guess, chaos to be had, right? No Daytona chaos. So we're throwing out a bunch of crazy long shots, and things are going to tighten up a little bit in the conversation. And, you know, I'm going to be perfectly frank with you guys. There's a lot of names that are floating around in social media right now that we're going to be bringing up. But again, it just really, if it says anything to you, it should just solidify the fact that if everybody's on them, I know that there's sort of a wind tunnel on Twitter, but you know, a lot of times the research will just lead you there, right? I mean, and we'll take a couple of swings, but again, a lot of these guys are going to be guys that we think are going to win you money, and really, ultimately, that's all you want to do, right?
That's what we're here for.
That's what we're here for. So let's get to it. Unless you've got anything else pressing to hit this stage, we'll get right to the bets. Yeah,
I do. I did kind of forget to get into my history lesson.
Oh yeah.
After I got distracted by the Kyle Larson thing. Here was the fun stat I dug up today. Kevin Harvick, we're in his final season, right? And so on March 2nd of 2014 at Phoenix Raceway, Kevin Harvick solidified his place as one of the top NASCAR Sprint Cup Series drivers at the time. There's a certain book out there that still labels their bets as the Sprint Cup Series, so that's fun. But anyways, as one of the top NASCAR Sprint Cup drivers in the history of Phoenix Raceway, he led 224 of 312 laps in the Profit on CNBC 500 in his Sprint Cup win at Phoenix Raceway. Legendary racer AJ Foyt, who won the inaugural professional race at Phoenix Raceway in 1964, returned to the track and presented the trophy to Harvick in victory lane. So that was on this date in March 2nd of 2014, 9 years ago. Obviously, I cannot wait till we get to next week because we're going to be talking about Kevin Harvick a lot. I think he is 18 top 10s in a row at Phoenix Raceway. So that's as soon as the odds drop next week, just go place that as quickly as you possibly can, no matter what it's at, pretty much. But we'll get into that more next week. But yeah, fun statistic for on this date to kind of honor Kevin Harvick in his final season.
Or you could be like Cody, and once I put the doc out, I'll just like Homestead a couple of those picks, and that's we'll get there. It's funny.
I was watching my phone all morning, and the second that message popped up, I jumped in there. I typed in 2 things that I wanted to claim, all for myself, and the first one being Kevin Harvick top 10. How is this at plus money, Rod? Can you
we got to take a break though.
Oh.
We got to take a break before you get. I know you want to get launched.
I got real excited.
You got excited. We got to pay bills. So, spoiler alert, on the other side of the break.
I'll give you my favorite bet of the weekend.
Find out why Cody thinks Kevin Harvick will be a top 10 car. On the other side of the break.
I was setting up the teaser for you, Rod.
Hey, listen, you learned quite a bit, my young Padawan. I love this. Mandalorian's out, so I'm back in Star Wars mode.
There you go.
All right. Enough nonsense. Let's get to the bets after the break. But before we do, let's tell you about WynnBETs, the official online sportsbook of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. WynnBETs active in a bunch of states, and there's tons of ways to win, including live betting, same-game parlays, which you all know and love as WynnBETs build your own bet. March Madness is almost here. Really, it kind of is here, right? But plenty of ways to win. You can get down on the NBA, NHL, XFL. Sign up today, though. You're going to get a special offer. Bet $100. Get $100, limited to state availability. And of course, for our DGens only, if you hit the biggest long shot parlay of the week, you're going to get $1,000 free credit. So much to choose from. All you got to do, head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WynnBET so they know that we sent you. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/WYNNBET. Offer subject to change. Terms and conditions at WynnBET.com. Must be 21 or older and present in the state where playthrough WynnBET is available. If you or somebody who has a gambling problem, call 1-800-522-4700. The SGPN merch store continues to add new items every single day to the store. So go head over now to store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com to get your favorite shirts, get your favorite hats, get your favorite coffee mugs, get whatever NASCAR Gambling Podcast paraphernalia you can get your hands on. Love that coffee mug. Waiting for mine to come. Once it gets here, I'll be drinking nothing but coffee. Well, okay, we'll sneak some other stuff in there from that mug. But make sure to get yours and drink whatever the hell you want out of it, because I'm not your boss. I'm not your dad. I'm not anybody. I'm just here to tell you, buy stuff. Store.sportsgamblingpodcast.com. Oh, yes, I do enjoy drinking coffee from my mug, but sometimes I don't know what happens. Bailey's just kind of sneaks into it.
Well, it's almost St. Patty's Day, so a little Irish coffee in celebration, right?
A little bit of Irish celebration.
There you go.
Quick aside before we get to your Kevin Harvick top 10. Once upon a time when I was a kid, because my birthday is so very close to St. Patrick's Day, I wanted to be Irish. I thought that's how it worked. I was like, I want to be Irish. Like I said, my birthday's around St. Patrick's Day. I want to be Irish, only to find out as a kid I could not be Irish. So.
I hate to one up you, Rod, but my birthday is St. Patrick's Day.
Oh!
So everybody parties hard for my birthday every year.
Oh, I love it. All right. Well, then beautiful stuff. We're going to have a lot of fun then on your birthday.
Yeah, we're going to have a birthday party week, I guess, on the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it.
Okay.
All right, let's get to your top 10.
Back to the story we teased you with earlier. Kevin Harvick, top 10 at plus money. What are we doing? Like, I don't know. I don't understand why it's plus money, but go hammer this bet. I love this one more than anything else you're going to find out there. Now, if you go back and look at the last 2 races at Las Vegas, he finished 12th in both of them. Yes, I know that's not in the top 10 last time I counted anyways, but it's Kevin Harvick. You go back to last season, 17 of the 36 races he finished in the top 10. That includes, the road courses where he's not as good on, includes the super speedways where he gets caught up and stuff. So on these more predictable tracks, quote unquote, Kevin Harvick, top 10 is just the thing to do, right? We saw it last week. He finished 4th. He had a great weekend. If you go back, so 12th in the last 2 races, Before that, he finished in the top 10 in 8 of 11 races at Las Vegas. So he is consistently up front here. He won the race back in 2018. Also going to sprinkle a little bit for him on the top Ford at plus 550 because Fords have not been super impressive lately. Harvick was already the top Ford last week, so that speaks to something. The only two guys listed ahead of him, Joey Logano, obviously won the last race here, and Ryan Blaney. They both led some laps last week, but both suffered issues late. Blaney was caught up in the big restart wreck, and then Logano just kind of fell off as the race went on. I don't know if there was another problem there or what happened, but it was Kevin Harvick as the top Ford, and then Brad Keselowski even was the next best Ford finishing. So I like that at plus 550 for Harvick to be the top Ford, but the hammer of all hammer bets this week is Kevin Harvick for the top 10 plus 105. I know we've got some listeners, it comes up often in the Discord that, not everybody gets access to all books, depending on the state. We got some Canadian listeners and stuff. Even if you're getting this like minus 125, minus 130, I would still take it at that. I don't like it as much because you're not at the plus money, but I feel like I wrote in my article, there's no such thing as a sure bet in gambling, but it's about as close as you can get to one. And if he doesn't have issues, doesn't get caught up in a wreck, I would expect Kevin Harvick to be in the top 10 and potentially be the top Ford at the end of the day as well.
Well, let's preface it by this. I mean, last season, 2 12th place finishes, but that's like 2 places outside of the top 10. And let's not
finish 12th, you can finish 10th.
And let's not forget that the beginning of the season was not kind to Kevin Harvick. He was having difficulties getting used to this car. It was evident that there was not a comfortability level with Kevin Harvick and this car, yet he still finished 12th on this track, right? Fast forward a little bit. He had just won a couple of races, like back in Las Vegas. The heat had cooled off. So, kind of give that to him as well. And he would maybe even pushing a little bit hard because he knew he was getting better. And he started 13th, finished 12th. So, I mean, again, Kevin Harvick, top 10, you absolutely get zero argument from me on that. In fact, I'm going to keep the Kevin Harvick love going in saying that I think Kevin Harvick's going to win the poll. I was looking at these poll odds and none of them necessarily, like, you can't predict the poll very easily, especially on a place like Las Vegas where the polls shifted around quite a bit over the last few seasons. But I will say that when I looked at Kevin Harvick's poll numbers, they jumped out at me. He's got 3 here in the last, since 2019. He has 3 polls in that span, and that's 8 races. Now, 2020, you can kind of throw out because it was a COVID year. They were setting the starting grid by metrics. But look, the reason he was first is he had won the race before, right? He'd won in California in 2020 to get himself on the pole in Las Vegas. And then in the 2021 season, he actually did have a good finish that race before as well. So he had put himself on the pole for speed at least once and then done so incredibly well that he started on the pole anyways. Since then, a 5th place start, a 25th place start, and a 13th place start. But again, I'm throwing last season out because I just don't think he was comfortable with this car almost at any point, to be honest with you, even except when he won those 2 wins and we thought he was on a roll. But again, plus 800 for this bet. I really like it because the value's there, and I think it could happen. I think last season, right? I mean, there's some adrenaline. If we can get some qualifying going, that car had speed the last couple of weeks, so why not put him on the pole?
Yeah, I love it. I'm not ever going to say no to any Kevin Harvick bets, I don't think. So I fully back you on this one. Next up for me, it sort of saddens me that Kyle Busch is the favorite this week to win the race. Everybody and their brother and their mother and their sister and their aunt and uncle are on Kyle Busch. Makes me sad because I've been pushing him so hard all off season. Had him last week at 10-1. Gonna step off the Kyle Busch to win train this week, although I would not be shocked in any way, shape, or form. But he is plus money to score a top 5 finish, and I like that. It's plus 125 for him to get in the top 5. He has 4 top 5s in a row at Las Vegas. That's pretty good, right? It's his home track. Not only that, but you look back to last year, how much he struggled in that 18 car for Gibbs, and he still finished in the top 5 in both of these. Now he's coming off of a win in the 8 car that is obviously one of the best out there. You've got one of the best cars, one of the best drivers. It's a pretty good pairing. And I'd like to say we saw this coming because we did. But you go back to so four top 5s in a row for him here. In September of 2020, he finished 6th. And then previous to that, he had a top 11 in 10, or no, total in the last 14 races. He's finished in the top 11 in 10 of those. So 9 of them, he's finished in the top 10. I just threw it 11th because he had one 11th place finish. But again, very consistent here. This is his home track. He is from Las Vegas. He always wants to show up. He's going to have plenty of laps on the track. He's in the truck race. He's in the Xfinity race. He's got all the momentum in the world behind him. If you want to take him to win this race, I have no problem. I guess this might be one of the places where, because I listen to everyone else, I hate picking the same guy that everybody else is picking, right? And sometimes you should probably, and this might be that case, and we might come on here next week and be like, man, we loved Kyle Busch so much, why didn't we take it? But I wanted to get a piece of Kyle Busch without having the bet everybody else has. So plus money for a top 5 at plus 125. Absolutely love this for Kyle Busch. And I think it might be the KFB show yet again this week.
Yeah, and again, it's a matter of him being able to be on the track for all 3 series as well. I mean, that's a lot of laps. You're logging a lot of laps and getting very comfortable with the nooks and the crannies of that place. And for Kyle Busch, you don't want to give him too many practice swings before he comes up to the plate, because it doesn't matter if there's a pitch clock or not. He's knocking that one out of the park. So I very much love your top 5. Again, I know that he's a trendy name. I get it. And the narrative, you can't get away from it. You know, home track, new car. Like, I mean, the story writes itself. So if you're not talking about Kyle Busch just because everybody else isn't, I think you're doing everybody a disservice. So I think your angle is good. Pretty much everybody else's angle is valid as well. Now he's just got to go out and do it.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, this could easily turn in very quickly to Kyle Larson of 2 years ago, right? Where every single week he was the heavy favorite and he continued to win and he continued to win. Kyle Busch is very capable of that. He's still very much in his prime. And we could easily see, once he gets rolling, things just do not stop. The storylines are going to be great if Kyle Busch is just ripping off win after win. This was the first time where the cheers were louder than the boos were when he got out at the win. Like, everybody loves Kyle Busch now that he's over back at Chevy. He's away from Gibbs. He's in the RCR ride, and everybody's just jumping on the bandwagon. And yeah, I love to see it, honestly. But he's going back to the NASCAR Thunder game, right? His red rival thing was pretty far. It's starting to swing back towards the green there, and he's gonna make everybody an ally now, I guess.
I got NASCAR heat for the Xbox, and every time somebody's like, we're going camping this weekend, it's like, he's my favorite driver. I'm like, yeah, I love this. I don't know how anybody could want to be the villain. All right. Well, again, love the Kyle Busch angle. I'm going to throw another driver into the top, and this time the top 3. Another trendy name, but you can't get away from Ross Chastain at this track and this point, and the races that he's put together over the last couple of seasons in that one car. He's plus 250 for a top 3 finish. I mean, I understand that it's a volatile market. I understand that top 3s are not necessarily predictable. But what has he done? What did he do last season? Well, he put together a 3rd place and a 2nd place finish here on this track. And pretty much, in college, when you write term papers, you cite your sources, right? You can use any sort of whatever you want as long as you cite your source. I'm so glad that I found Greg Mathern's from the Garage Guys little research tweet here, and I'm going to read it to you. Greg Mathern at GMathern84 says, last year, Ross Chastain dominated the 6-point races at Las Vegas, Kansas, Charlotte, and Texas on the lead lap, but couldn't finish off the races with the win. He was the only driver to finish all 6 races on the lead lap in that one. Finished with top 3 finishes in that, and those both happened at Las Vegas, but he had 2 top 5 finishes, total of 771 top 3 laps he ran, which was 42%. of the laps on Vegas, Kansas, Charlotte, and Kansas, Texas, and Vegas again. So thank you, Greg, for putting in the legwork so I could read your tweet.
Yeah,
Listen,
Greg is an awesome guy. I worked with him a little bit last year when I was doing some work with the garage guys over there. He's an awesome follow, knows his shit. He's actually a lawyer, and then he does this. So you got to be pretty smart to be a lawyer, right? So he's good at his research. He's good at all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, big shout out to him. Chastain, again, I wrote an article that has some bets and a few DFS plays. He was my top DFS play in this because of stats similar to that. You go back to last week, I just got done saying we didn't see anybody dominate anything too much, but he led 91 of the 200 laps in that race, won both stages, ran up front consistently. The finishes haven't always been there. We've seen a lot from Chastain, right? And there were so many races last year, especially on this type of track where he did have one of the best cars all day. Hasn't quite gotten all the wins to that yet. Of course, his wins coming on a road course and a super speedway last season, but he is consistently very, very good on these types of tracks. Getting him at plus money to finish in the top 3, I really like that one, Rod.
Yeah, and again, it's just a matter of he's so quick and he's been so fast in winning stages this season, and it's you've seen the speed come out of that car, and he's going to punch through. And it's not as if it was last season where he was kind of doing it in a brand new world. You know, it was like it took a minute for him to get there. He's done that already. You know, he's the melon man. He's the video game move guy. So the comfortability level is already there. Now you just got to punch through with the win. And there's no better place to do it, I think, than here, but at least get a top 3 at the very least, like he's done the last couple of races here.
Yeah, exactly. Totally agree with you. And he is the second favorite. So Kyle Busch, top of the board, plus 600. Ross Chastain right behind him at 8-1. So obviously the books are recognizing how good Chastain is this season already. He's already won me over. I said that Trackhouse would have to prove it. They proved it already. I'm fully in on Chastain again this season. So I think we're going to continue to be talking about him a lot. Next up for me, I have a head-to-head matchup. As much as this hurts my heart to do, I am going to take Denny Hamlin over Ryan Blaney. This was minus 114 either way. I love me some Ryan Blaney so much, but the numbers don't lie. You go back over the last 5 races at Las Vegas, Denny Hamlin has beat Ryan Blaney in all 5 of them. And in 4 of the last 5, those 5 races I referenced, Hamlin has also finished in the top 5. So he's been consistently very good here. And Blaney, love the guy. And we've talked about it so much last year, right? He led a ton of laps. He won more stages than anybody did. The finishes weren't there. And we're already starting to see that again this season, right? Daytona, again, it's Daytona. He somehow limped that horribly damaged car to an 8th place finish. So ended up being an okay day for him, but still got caught up in the shit early. And then last week, again, he was caught up in that pile up on the restart after having a decent day early on, but then got mired back in traffic. I don't fully trust Blaney yet until we see him finally break out and get a win. If he comes out and wins this race, would I be surprised? No. But Denny Hamlin is a guy you can rely on week to week for solid finishes, and you gotta go where the numbers take you. And he's got the clear advantage here in the last 5 races at Las Vegas.
Yeah, in fact, we were talking about it on the back road. We were talking about Blaney when we were doing our tiers, and I know that Seth had said something about kind of fading on Blaney a little bit, and I said, well, you're going to have to wrestle Cody for that because we had to retire Blaney's corner here for at least the first part of the season.
Yep, exactly. Yeah, I haven't listened to that just yet.
Look at it's brand new. Like,
can you still hear me, Rod?
Listen, so for all of you guys who are out there and are watching this, obviously you see Cody still wearing the beautiful headset that he's worn since the time we started this show, but that is not hooked up to anything other than just for him to hear. Now he's got this brand new microphone. He's gonna have to get used to.
Yep, I knew it was. I told you before the show that was gonna happen, and there we go. I knocked it over finally. So we got to work out the kinks there. But take
a shot. Take a shot when Cody knocks into it.
Yeah, take a shot every time I knock the microphone over. You might be drunk soon. But no, yeah. I hate to do it. I hate to go against a guy I love so much. But when the numbers back it up, gotta do what you got to do. We're here to win bets, right?
Yep. Research takes you where research has got to take you to go. Speaking of research taking us where research needs to go, I love Daniel Suarez. I really do. I love his story. I love his passion. I love his drive. I love his talent. But I'm a little perplexed, and maybe it's because the books have looked at what Daniel Suarez has done over the last couple of weeks and said to themselves, okay, well, with a 7th place finish at Daytona and a 4th place finish in Fontana, maybe Daniel Suarez is going to continue to do well. Okay. But they've got Austin Dillon and Daniel Suarez paired up. Austin Dillon is at plus 110 in this matchup. But, you say, Rod, Daniel Suarez has put together 2 solid finishes this season. Well, certainly he has. But at Las Vegas, he is not. Last year in the fall, he finished 16th after starting 6th. Start 21st in the spring, finished 37th. Now, he was messed up in a crash at that point, only ran 92 laps, but still. Was unable to pull together a good finish. In 2021 in the fall, he had a 15th place finish. Not bad, right? Okay. And then in his first race in the 99 car, he had a 26th place finish. But turn the page to Austin Dillon. Well, he over the last 4 races is at 10th place, 11th place, 13th place, 12th place, 32nd in 2020. But when you look back at what Daniel Suarez did in 2020, it was just as bad, almost the 29th place and the 30th place finish in the 96 car. All I'm saying is since Daniel Suarez has been in the 99 car, he has not run very well on Las Vegas. And here's the thing. I mean, when you put together Austin Dillon's average finish of 15th against Daniel Suarez's average finish of 22nd, doesn't really leave me a lot of warm and fuzzies to think that Daniel Suarez can turn in a fantastic day. We also talked about the fact that it looks like Kyle Busch has brought Mr. Austin Dillon along quite nicely as far as motivation level. So for me, I mean, Austin Dillon went from a 33rd place finish in Daytona, which obviously we know he crashed and didn't finish the race, but he had a 9th place finish in Fontana. Really good day there for Austin Dillon, and he could have had a better finish too. Were it not for all the craziness. He even led 3 laps, did that number 3 car. So, like I said, for plus money, for Austin Dillon to finish over Daniel Suarez, this doesn't even have to be Austin Dillon to finish in the top 5 even. As long as he finishes in the top 10 and Suarez finishes just outside, we're cashing this.
Yeah, I love this one. Again, as much as I'm sold on Chastain, Suarez, it's going to take me a little bit more convincing. He had a great run last week. You can't take that away from him. But Austin Dillon has been my guy lately. I've loved betting on him, love finding ways to use him. We saw it already early at the Coliseum, and then we saw it at Daytona as he was second when the caution flag came out to send it to overtime, and then last week with the solid finish. He's rejuvenated. I don't know that I've seen Austin Dillon ever happier. His teammate is tearing it up and winning everything. Generally, that makes you feel bad or makes you the pressure get put on you, right? But it's almost like he's looking at it more from a car owner standpoint of things, where he's just happy the team's doing good. Kyle Busch was the guy he talked Grandpa into bringing in, and it's worked out well. And he's like, yes, look what we did. Like, he orchestrated all of this. So I think that is going to continue to help push him to be good. I don't fully trust Daniel Suarez yet. So getting plus money on this one, no argument from me. Next up in my head-to-heads, dug a little deep this week. They're offering some deep into the field head-to-heads here. This one is juiced up. It is juiced up, and it's a lot of juice, but you only pay the juice if you lose, Rod. And I feel like this is a pretty safe bet. My man, Corey Lajoie, over his teammate, Ty Dillon. It is minus 190, like I said. So it's a little hefty, but I don't even see how this is anywhere close to a fair head-to-head matchup. Corey Lajoie obviously showed very well at Daytona. No surprises there. Ty Dillon, first car out of the race. I think he ran like 5 laps, had engine troubles, and retired. You go to last week, Lajoie hung with the big dogs. This was the first time he scored stage points on a regular track by just racing. He's gotten stage points, obviously, at super speedways. He's gotten them, I think, at road course in Martinsville once, just because, pit strategy or whatnot cycled out. And he was actually racing in the top 10 when the stage ended, got the stage points this past week. Solid finish in 14th position. And guess where Austin Dillon was? Again, dead last because he had early engine troubles. I don't think there's nearly as much funding to the 77 car, which we've seen for years, as there is to the 7 car. These two drivers, I love Ty Dillon as a guy, but they're not close in talent. Lajoie is much more talented than Dillon is. So even if they're both hanging out near the back, I think Lajoie is the better guy. Equipment's going to be the biggest question, because if Lajoie's equipment doesn't hold up, not much you can do for that. But I don't think this is even anywhere close. I would be surprised if there's many laps in this race where Ty Dillon is ahead of Lajoie unless Lajoie gets caught up or has some type of equipment failure. So I'm willing to lay the juice on this one. And it's not just because I love Corey Lajoie, but because this, even though they're teammates in the same camp, this feels very lopsided of a matchup to me.
Yeah, well, your love of Corey Lajoie blinds you anyway. So I'm even if I tried to make an argument,
it makes me pay more attention to him. So I know what I'm
Ah,
talking about. See,
there's that. There's that. I'll take that. So yeah, even if I were to try to make an argument against it, I wouldn't. But listen, you excite the fan base with your Lajoie love. Like it's amazing to me. Even the bosses during Daytona were all over Corey Lajoie because you, my friend, are influential, whether you want to be or not.
Hey, Lajoie's a lovable guy, right?
Yeah, that hair alone is lovable. I, as a child, had long hair. I wish it would have looked like that.
I wish you still had long hair, Rod.
Well, the Army
doesn't see that. Yeah,
doesn't necessarily let you keep it that long. Just wait. When I'm out, flowing locks.
As soon as Rod retires,
ooh.
Let's do it.
Full beard, full hair.
Why do you think I haven't shaved since I got out of the Navy? I trim it down, but I don't clean shave ever again, Rod.
We'll post some NASCAR pics on NASCAR Gambling Podcast of me about a year after. Yeah, I looked like Grizzly Adams and then some. But
love it.
All right, somebody that doesn't look like Grizzly Adams and a fresh face is Mr. AJ Allmendinger. In the Group C on a certain book, you can find him as the winner of that. Oh boy, the odds continue to drop. I had him at +5. I put him in the dock at +4. Now he's at +3. Wow. I think the public is already on to AJ Allmendinger winning this group. Who is in Group C? You ask? Well, it's Ty Gibbs, the rookie, who has only one race here as an actual Cup driver. And he started in 19th place and finished in 22nd. That was in the fall race, and that was in the 23 car. Remember when he was filling in Bubba's car number, not necessarily car, while Bubba was in that 45 to hold the seat warm for Kurt Busch. Chris Buescher is another name in this. Sorry, not excited by Chris Buescher. Eric Almirola is in this group. He's intriguing. Not a bad guy on this track, but overall, I'm still not necessarily excited about him to win over AJ Allmendinger in this. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Look, I get it. I get you want to love Ricky Stenhouse because he's done well in the last couple of races. But yes, he won Daytona. It was Daytona. And the reason that he was up front, I think, in that entire Fontana race was because of the metrics putting him up front and giving him an opportunity to start in the front. So, and for him to be able to hold on to that. That's not happening this week. He's going to have to actually qualify. Watch where he qualifies. I don't think he's going to qualify very well. And then if that happens, then we're all going to be cashing this one. And then Ryan Preece kind of rounds this one out. Gibbs is at +300. Buescher's at +450. Almirola's at +450. And Stenhouse and Preece are both at 600. Preece, obviously the rookie, hadn't logged any Cup Series laps on this track. So, not a rookie. Never mind. I'm sorry. I'm thinking of something.
It's been a while, though.
It's been a while. Yeah, absolutely. Not a rookie, but he hasn't been in this circuit in a while. Gibbs is the rookie. So yeah, again, it's not, and even when he was on this track, Preece wasn't necessarily running all that well either. So, look, all I'm saying is that AJ Allmendinger, in the last race that he was in the only race that he's been in the 16 car, finished 9th. He started 21st, finished 9th. AJ put some speed on himself heading in there. I know he was a road course guy. I know everybody completely loved him on road courses, but he showed a little bit of oomph out there on some ovals. So I think he's going to finish the best out of all this group. Just touching on Preece real quick. Like I said, I know he's not a rookie, but on the six starts that he has on this track, his average finish is 25th. So again, not necessarily all that scared of Preece either. So give me AJ Allmendinger to win this group.
Yeah, no argument from me. I think you made pretty valid points on all those guys. Low on Gibbs, the Stewart-Haas guys, other than Kevin Harvick, a lot of questions. Again, Chase Briscoe was running with BJ McLeod last week, so they got some questions to answer before we get too heavy on them. Next up for me, I also have a bet from Group C. This is a different book, so it's a different group, but my Group C bet, Alex Bowman is being just completely disrespected in this group. He is 4-1 in this 4-car group. It's Christopher Bell at plus 210, Martin Truex Jr. at plus 210, Tyler Reddick at plus 290. Then Alex Bowman rounds it out at plus 400. This is just a value bet on Bowman. Christopher Bell, we still don't know exactly what we're going to see. Again, he was caught up in that wreck last week. I don't think he was super impressive before that. So at least definitely nothing that I noticed or stood out to me too much. And then Martin Truex is probably the one that scares me the most in this group to Alex Bowman, just because he had a rocket ship last week. Again, had some pit crew issues. He's got a long history of having pit crew issues that just kill him week after week, it seems like, but kind of fell off at the end. He is the one that I feel like is the most threat in this group. Tyler Reddick plus 290. Travis Pastrana is 22 points ahead of Tyler Reddick in the standings. If that tells you anything, it's been a rough start for Reddick. Can he turn it around? Of course he could, but until we see it, I'm going to play pretty easy on Reddick. Alex Bowman, on the other hand, my long shot to win last week, and he actually looked really good and had a chance. Came out of the gate pretty good. He ended up finishing 8th place in stage 2, ends up in 8th place in the final race as well. He is the defending spring race winner here. He won this race last spring, backed into it, quote unquote, as Kyle Busch would tell you, but he won nonetheless. Again, if you go back to last week, Christopher Bell finished 32nd. Martin Truex did finish 11th. Tyler Reddick 34th. Alex Bowman in 8th place. He was obviously the best finisher in that group. And the history he's got on these intermediate tracks, wins at Chicagoland, great runs at places like Kansas, win at Vegas before. I love Alex Bowman, and I think he's just being slept on. Again, he's in a Hendrick car still. And I know it's the 4th car. I know he's kind of the last guy on the totem pole at Hendrick. Still a pretty damn good place to be. And so whenever I'm getting value on Bowman, I can't help but grabbing some. And at 4-1 to win this group, I love me some Alex Bowman.
Yeah, I love the 48 car, so I can't really argue with you on that anyways. But, here's the thing about Alex Bowman. He is that sneaky guy, and he did it last season, too, when he won Las Vegas. It was like everybody was just kind of like ho-hum, and next thing you know, he goes in and wins Las Vegas. Now, did we hear much from him the rest of the season? He made noises here and there, but it was wildly a much more quiet season after his win in Vegas. But if anybody can pop up and have a good day, it's that 48 team and Alex Bowman. Yeah, I mean, Tyler Reddick, man, that's the only other one that gives me pause because we're still riding him so much and it just hasn't come to fruition yet. It just bad luck in the first couple of races, maybe even just nerves, who knows. But that 8 car, he's probably looking at that 8 car thinking, what is that when Wolverine's looking at the picture of whatever in bed?
Oh yeah, he misses it.
Yeah, Tyler Reddick's looking at that 8 car now in bed.
And it makes you wonder too, and this is probably a whole conversation for another time, but you go back and you look at that decision, and when he made that decision to go to 2311 from RCR, it was like, well, yeah, this is an upgrade. This is going to put him in quote unquote elite equipment, all this and that. Well, then the season continued to go on because I think that was announced before he had even won. Then he wins 3 races, probably 5 or 6 he could have won, right? There was a couple of times Bristol Dirt gets spun in the final corner, should have had other wins. Now you come into this season, the 8 car is great right off the bat. And it's like, ooh, did he make a mistake going over to the Toyota camp, leaving what possibly could have continued to be a great ride? Time will tell, and I think he's going to figure it out. I think he's way too talented of a driver to to continue to have it be this way. We're only 2 races in. Daytona is Daytona, and then he just had the bad luck last week as well. But it is going to be interesting to see if he continues to struggle, what we may look back on that and be like, wow, that wasn't quite what we thought when that was announced, right?
Yeah, and I mean, again, like you said, time will tell, and so will all of his performances on the track. So we'll hold out hope until then. All right, somebody you don't really have to wait around for to do well, and that's Denny Hamlin. They got him as the top Toyota, and look, at plus 250. I feel like this is it is one of the favorites of the top Toyotas to win, but I still feel like the price is right for a Denny Hamlin top Toyota, because if you're getting 2.5 to 1 to be that, I think that's fantastic. Why? Well, he actually was the top Toyota last week in Fontana, so that's already recent track history, but he's been one of the top Toyotas here over the last few races in Las Vegas. In the 2022 fall race, well, Kyle Busch was the top Toyota, but who was the second one? Denny Hamlin. Guess who's no longer a Toyota? Kyle Busch. Guess who's still a Toyota? Denny Hamlin. In the spring race, Denny Hamlin was once again Martin Truex Jr. was the second Toyota, but Kyle Busch was once again the top Toyota. So we'll toss the spring race out. But in the 2021 race in the fall, Denny Hamlin was the top Toyota, and he was the top car on the track, taking home the win. Nobody else could finish better than that. So he was the top Toyota. In the 2021 spring race, Kyle Busch, top Toyota. Denny Hamlin, second Toyota. Were you noticing a pattern here? So again, it's just a matter of him being able to do it in 2020. In the fall race, he was the top Toyota here. You notice a pattern. He's the top Toyota, no matter where he basically finishes. Kyle Busch in the 2020 race in the spring was the top Toyota in 17th, but Denny Hamlin was, top Toyota at 15th. Denny Hamlin was the second Toyota at 17th. Again, it goes on and on and on and on. Denny Hamlin is a top Toyota almost every single week. And here, without Kyle Busch as a Toyota, I think the path is paved for him to be that top Toyota this week.
Yeah, I love it. I already made the case for Denny on a different bet earlier. He has gotten it done at Vegas. Toyota, again, it's easier to do this with Toyota. There's only 6 in the field, so he's only got to beat 5 other drivers. Kyle Busch being out of that stable makes it so much easier. Yes, there's Truex. Bell, jury's still out, of course. Reddick, until we see it, you can't really count on. Bubba is solid on these tracks, so keep an eye out for him, but he's not going to beat Denny straight up unless Denny has issues, I think. And Ty Gibbs is not going to be the top Toyota, so you don't have to worry about that.
Fingers crossed, no issues, because he hasn't had one in a while. So fingers crossed.
Exactly.
All right. Well, we will get to our winners. Cody, no teasers this time. We're going to go straight into the break and then unveil our winners.
I'll give you a teaser. I've already talked about 2 of my 3 winners.
It's funny because I've already talked about mine. So we'll just be solidifying our points for why the drivers are going to win when we come back from the break. But before we do, let's tell you about Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is your home for off-season NFL best ball drafts, but they've also got you covered with a ton of other daily games, including NBA, NHL, and PGA. Underdog Fantasy is a great way to get down on your favorite player props if they're not available in your state. So head over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use the promo code SGPN for a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code SGPN. Hey, listen, for those of you who have been watching our YouTube offerings, and for those of you curious about the YouTube, head over there. It's you just search NASCAR Gambling Podcast on YouTube and find us and see our smiling face. Watch Cody knock over microphones. It's the beautiful thing to do. But of course, thank you for watching. Subscribe. Cody, what do they say? Smash that bell. I don't even know. Christopher,
yep, you got it. Smash the bell, hit the like button, share it with all your friends, leave a comment, all that fun stuff.
I'm old, man. I mean, I'm still working on my space time, so whatever. If you're in my top,
need to have our daughters just record a little thing that says what all the things to say.
TikTokers and whatever. I don't know. Like I said, I'm still running off of MySpace top 8s. I'm customizing. Jimmy Johnson wallpaper on my MySpace. So
Wow.
I'm sorry. Wait. He who shall not be named. All right. People are going to win this race, Cody. Let's make the money from it.
Let's make the money. I am going to start out with Chase Elliott, 12-1. I think that Chase is being disrespected here. Why is he 12-1? I don't understand. He finished second place last week. He had the best season of anybody last year, right? Consistently running up front. He was the fastest car in the closing laps last week. These tracks, again, are comparable. He started all the way in the back. I think he was 31st, 33rd, something like that. Worked his way through the field. By the end of stage 1, he was already in the top 10. And then at the end of the race, he was second. He was running faster lap times than Kyle Busch. Wasn't going to catch him with the time that was left, but he looked fast. He's got 3 top 4 finishes here in the past at Las Vegas, kind of spread out throughout his career. If you do look, his track record is up and down at this track. I will give you that. And that's why I think Derek said to fade Chase Elliott this week. But I am sticking to my guns, going with Chase Elliott. A couple years ago, he led 70 laps in a race, 73 in another one. He's got a second place finish back in September of 21 here. Chase Elliott is he's a guy that can be good anywhere, anytime. You can always rely on it. It's the super speedway. It's a road course. It's a short track. It's anything. Intermediate tracks. He's good. We've already seen it. There's something to be said for these guys that have the momentum already. We saw it in Kyle Busch's favor, right? Look how much his odds have dropped. He's now the favorite to win this. Chase Elliott was right there behind him in second with a fast car, and his odds got longer for some reason. And Elliott is generally a more popular play, and the fact that he's not popular this week makes me like him even more. I've not heard much about him, and the few things I have heard have been against him. So I'm going, even though I like the positive reinforcement sometimes of other people being on the same thing I'm on, I'm going to use that this week to be the one guy that stands out and is on the Chase Elliott mountain. I just think at 12-1 for a guy that is consistently always up there, had the most wins of anybody last season. I think he led the most laps or was right up there with it last year. And Alex Bowman won this race last season in a Hendrick car. So I don't think you can count Elliott out. And I feel like at 12-1, there's just too much value there to let that pass by. At 20-1, Kevin Harvick, hit the rewind button if you need all the reasons why. We've already talked him up plenty. Love Kevin Harvick. Again, we saw him with a 4th place finish last week, right? We made the case for him to finish top 10 already. He is another guy who can win anywhere, anytime, right? He's consistently always up there. He can put himself in position. And sometimes he'll just pop up and be the best car like he did last year at Michigan. Then he did it again at Richmond. He can do it. He's already off to a good start to the season. I think that continues this week. I think he's going to be in the top 10 unless he has any type of issue. I expect him to be in the top 10 easily. I think he could turn that into a win at 20-1. And I couldn't pass up Alex Bowman, 22-1 again. I don't know why he is getting disrespected. He won this exact same race last year. Yes, he only led 16 laps, but he did win stage 1. So he was up front early. Then he was there at the end again, winning it in overtime. That's all I need. He's got a 5th place finish here in 2020. He's got a 6th place finish here in 2019. So he's proven on this track he can be up there. Talked about his history at other similar places, Chicagoland where he got a win, Kansas where he's run really well. Last week at Auto Club, ran very well with the 4th place finish in stage 2, I think it was, and they finished 8th in the end of the race. So love me some Alex Bowman this week. Could not pass up on him. So Elliott 12-1, Harvick 20-1, Bowman 22-1. I'm going to split my bets up to win between those guys and hope to go back-to-back like we did last week.
Heavy Hendrick card this week, which is fine. But I find it very I don't know what I find it really, that the fact that Larson is not necessarily one of the heavy favorites in this
this is going to be Larson. He's going to dominate this week and win because everybody and their brother was on him last week. Nobody's on him this week. He's not the favorite. We're going to regret not betting on Larson.
Okay, ready? Sprinkle something on Larson.
Do it. Sprinkle something on Larson. Okay.
You do what you want to.
We can clip that out later.
That guy with the trench coat, and I'm like, Want to buy some Larson? All right. My winner is not going to try to lure you in his van with candy. It's Ross Chastain at plus 800. He's one of the top favorites. We've already laid out everything about him. Won 3 stages already. Just a fantastic run so far to start this season. He's a friggin' rocket ship. Last year he won one stage here he won stage 2 in one of those as well. So like, look, we made our case for Ross Chastain already. But when you look back at the last couple of races too, he led 68 laps here in the South Point, the fall race of this one. 68 treacherous laps, to be honest with you. And then in the spring race, he led 83 laps before finishing 3rd in this race, won stage 2 in the spring race here. He was leading that fall race pretty much up until the last 265 is when he surrendered the lead to Joey Logano in those last 3 laps. That was when Logano basically just ran him down. So look, all I'm saying is that Ross Chastain should punch through for a win this week. And I like plus 800. It still feels like super speedway odds for a guy that has been really fast this season. So I like Chastain. I'm also going to double up on one and shout out again. This is one of those ones I put in the dock before I went to go pick up my daughter from her choir practice. And I'm scrolling through Twitter. Lo and behold, Brian Twinning's like, hey, by the way, you should probably throw a little something on Trackhouse. I was like, oh, Brian, I already had that in my card. Thank you for validating my entire thought process on this. Trackhouse as a team is at plus 650 to win. Now, you're getting Daniel Suarez. You probably don't need Daniel Suarez, but maybe, if something happens and the pinata comes out again, you'll have some fun with it. But if you double down on Chastain and Trackhouse to win, you're looking at 8-1, 6.5-1. Those are a couple of good bets to double down on. And I just feel like it's an intrigue. It was an intriguing enough bet when I saw it initially. And then when I saw the validation from Brian Twinning, I was like, I love this, or Twining, I'm sorry. I said, I love this. This is fantastic. Now I know that I'm on the right track. So give me Team Trackhouse for plus 650 as well.
Yeah, I like adding that Team Trackhouse in there just because it's not too much cheaper where you're just losing all your value on it. Gives you the Daniel Suarez insurance, and you double dip if Chastain does get it done. So I like that. I didn't have Chastain on any of my bets this week, but I do love Chastain. Like I said, wrote him up as one of my top DFS plays. We'll probably talk about him on the DFS show tomorrow. With his hot start last week, leading 91 laps. He was the fastest car in both races last season here. Didn't quite get it done, but could be when he gets it turned around and gets into victory lane. So I like that from you as well.
I saw Chastain's name just floating around then all of a sudden. I was like, well, either one of two things is happening. I knew that I was in an echo chamber already, or my research took me there and everybody else's research took us there. So if the industry's on him this week, fade him. No, I'm just kidding. Believe us when we say that he's got a fast car and he's probably going to end up winning you some money. So if you hear it here, you hear it somewhere else, just know that we've all been doing the research that says it.
Yep. Yeah, I expect him to be very good this weekend.
All right. Get out your pen and papers. We're about to go over all of our bets for you. Cody, pick up your pad and paper. Where is it at? Sitting right there.
Got it right here, always.
Here we go. Cody started you off with Kevin Harvick as a top 10 car at plus 105. Also throwing in top Ford at plus 550. I went ahead and said Harvick's going to win the poll because why the hell not? At plus 800. Cody's giving you Kyle Busch as a top 5 car at plus 125. I'm giving you Ross Chastain as a top 3 car to really fall in on our Ross Chastain love at plus 250. Cody's giving you Denny Hamlin over Ryan Blaney with a broken heart at minus 114. I'm giving you Austin Dillon over Daniel Suarez at plus 110. Cody's giving you Corey Lajoie. Hold on. Let me do this. Cody's giving you Corey Lajoie over Ty Dillon at minus 190. I'm telling you AJ Allmendinger is going to win a group filled with Gibbs and Buescher and Almirola, Preece and Stenhouse, all at plus 400. Cody says that Bowman's going to win Group C at plus 400, and then he dips. And then I'm giving you Denny Hamlin as a top Toyota at plus 250. And then Cody says that Chase Elliott has a chance to win at plus 1,200. Kevin Harvick at plus 2,000 has a chance to win. Daniel Bowman at 22-1 has a chance to win.
Daniel Bowman.
Daniel Bowman.
Got a little Suarez on the mind, do you?
Alex Bowman. There, I'm gonna get a drop that says misinformation because that's what we got going on. Can you tell we're nearing the end of the show? I'm telling you Ross Chastain at 8-1, and then also throw a little something on Team Trackhouse at plus 650 to triple dip on your Ross Chastain weekend and on your card. So lots of good stuff, man. I cannot wait for this race to get going. Obviously, we have truck racing tomorrow night, so that'll be fun to start our racing weekend. Go back, listen to the truck episode, get ready for that. Then the Xfinity episode. If again, all you listen to is the Cup episode, do yourself a favor, win some money elsewhere. You'll be happy you did.
Absolutely. Couldn't have said it better myself. Check out the F1 Gambling Podcast as well. Join us in the Discord. We'll have plenty of stuff there. I'm going to drop some IndyCar bets in there, probably on my Twitter as well. So make sure you follow me at Husker_Zeeb. Be a lot of racing this weekend. Be a lot of fun. Hopefully a lot of winning. Let's do it.
So many laps to watch. It's just going to be intense, but so much fun. Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. There's a link in the bio to everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it's Sportsbook Review, whether it is in between media. Again, the Back Row drop tonight. Go search that on YouTube. But once you're done watching this, have some fun with us there. Of course, check out all of our friends. We've already dropped a few of them. Go listen to Derek Yoder's Betting Review, is All Things Go podcast, Full Tank with Phil. So many good Rory picks, has his one as well. Lots of fun in this NASCAR betting community. Go listen to all of it. But, of course, listen to us. We'll be back tomorrow. DFS, mailbag. We'll figure something out. We'll have some fun with you guys. Maybe we'll do DFS and a mailbag in the same episode. But until then, ladies and gentlemen, let's go racing and let it ride.